I heard something that you want to know when trans. Dude, I saw that on freaking X, man. I saw that on X. Have you guys seen this shit? Have you guys seen these by this account, Janet Ellistar? Who they've been basically going into yeah. So anyway, if you guys don't know about the story, uh, they've been going into like these kind of trans forums and like kind of reading the stuff. And what they've been doing apparently is certain, you know, obviously this is all trans people, but there's and this is the problem. This is the problem with the trans community being so like amorphous and like being like whatever, right? Because then you have when you have when you have a thing, right, like that is so, what's the word, it's so inclusive. You have a case in which you can't even you can't segment off like what they are. You see the one about the frozen tomato sauce? Yes, I'm about to get into that, methylene. Do you have a link to that one, by the way? Because I lost the link to that one. So if you have the link to that one, like send it to me. But this is the problem when you have again these groups where it doesn't even mean anything. Like the actual name of the group doesn't even mean anything because the people within the group have nothing to do with each other. Right, like for instance, right, like what is it, like LGBTQ LMNOP plus plus whatever. There's so much shit in there that has nothing to do with each other. So anyway, the point about this, right, is even amongst people who are trans, this has nothing, like this is some freakish shit that has nothing to do with anybody else within that group. So it's like, anyway, and groups are just having a difficult time policing each other and stuff like that. But anyway, going on to that, like let's talk about these specific crazy people, right? So, and this is again the problem with the whole group thing I was talking about before, is if you don't gatekeep that, you let people in who are absolute fucking degenerates. And not only that, but they're sexually harassing people. These are people that are sexually violating other people, right? And then you'll have a thing, for instance, like the bathroom thing, right, where it's like, well, why don't you go into the bathroom? Like, I mean, like, what do you mean? Like, why I just want to use the bathroom, right? Maybe you do, but how about other people? Right? What about the other people? Like, we have to again, this is what I was talking about people could really learn from game design, especially online game design, because you can learn that like some of these people are just kind of crazy, right? So I'm gonna like let's like, I'm trying to, how do I block that off? I don't want to I don't want to look at that shit. It's weird. All right, anyway. So basically, if you have a system in which anybody can go in the women's restroom, you allow predators to also go in there. So if there's no gatekeeping, then there's no way to do this. Basically, we're gonna have to have single stall restrooms for everyone or something like that. Or even then, like, this is a completely different issue. We're gonna have like locking. We're gonna have to have locked containers, like kind of like what they do for syringes, specifically for you know, women's hygiene products. So anyway, going into the post, there are trans identifying men who steal used menstrual waste from bathroom trash cans and reuse it on themselves. To be clear, these men are inserting used tampons or walking around in someone else's dirty pads, all for the purposes of sexual gratification. The violation of it is almost as disturbing as the behavior itself. Men have no business in women's spaces. And I'm gonna go read this like on the side because I don't want to look at that picture, because then there's a picture there I don't want to look at. I don't want to show on screen, rather. So I'm just gonna read this to you guys, okay? Post. I had a great week finding a pad and tampon. What a great few days of luck. First, I found a used tampon and worn it off and on for a couple days. New versus used was not a lot different for me. Then yesterday, I found a used pad in a unisex bath at Wendy's. When I opened it up, it was a big one and it was full and moist. I put it on soon after, and wow, what a the moisture was so obvious, and I loved the size, and I could feel it full and moist. I loved it. I can't wait to find more. Any similar experiences out there? And then posts, you are not alone in this. I personally love the feel of used pads in my and tampons as well. I am just loving the feeling of a nice wet And the next person says, I love it all. I think I might go through more tampons than real girls. I sometimes use light pads or panty liners on the front of my panties with my hard pressed between them and my belly. Works good to catch the blank. Also, a tampon and overnight pad over that, covering it. Very yummy. Like, dude, this is crazy. This is crazy levels of violation. You know what I mean? Like, this is nasty. And it's again, it's sexual harassment. It is sexual violation of women. And if you let anybody in, if you go, well, you know, if you're trans, you should be able to use whatever restroom you want. Okay, what's your criteria for trans? Oh, whatever. So wait, you're telling me that, like, if they say that they're trans tomorrow, that they can just use the women's room? Yeah. Then you have situations like this. And again, nobody can do it then at that point. Now we're going to have to start locking things up. This is what happens when you have a society that does not regulate itself against the worst offenders. Again, what I keep talking about, game design, you have to understand that there are people that will abuse the rules. It's not everybody, but there will be people that abuse the rules. And if you don't account for if you don't create the rules, if you don't create the rules specifically with those people in mind, they will get through the cracks. My housemates and I, 19 to 22 female, just discovered our trans housemate was making tea out of our used tampons because he couldn't afford hormonal pills. We don't feel safe and we want this person gone. The title should say that she is 22 MTF, and that is a typo and my mistake. This is the scariest, most disgusting thing I've ever been through. I'm a student at a popular liberal university, living at a house off campus with 5 housemates. I've lived there for 2 semesters already and already plan on staying until August. And when I get my own place, a few months ago, we took on a new roommate. Let's call her Jessica. Jessica's a trans woman, which is fine with everyone here. We get along and occasionally hang out. Jessica did seem a bit weird sometimes, but we figured she was nice enough and wasn't hurting anyone, so it was okay. Long story short, I recently let her borrow my hairdryer and she forgot to give it back to me after she left for class. I usually wouldn't do this, but I was in a hurry and my hair was wet, so I decided to go to her room to get my dryer. What I saw was disturbing. The smell in the room was terrible, like a public bathroom. There were bottles of urine everywhere, but worst of all, there was a Ziploc bag with used tampons under her desk. On top of her desk was a plastic cup with one of the used tampons and water. I ran out and threw up. God, this is vile. I didn't know what to think. I woke up one of my other housemates and told her what was going on. She looked at me and was shocked. We took pictures to show the other roommates. Once everyone knew, and Jessica came back, we had a house meeting. The 5 of us told her that we knew what she was doing and asked why. She screamed that we shouldn't have went into her room, that we were being transphobic. Of course, I mean, it's always the defense, right? We told her that we want her out by the end of the month and we will refund her entire rent for the month to make up for the short notice. She cried and told us that she can't afford estrogen and doesn't have insurance. So people told her online that drinking blood was a way to be... I feel really bad for her, but I can't do this because none of us can. Are we wrong for telling her she has to go? My housemates and I discovered TLDR. Okay, this is TLDR, so we don't need that. But dude, this shit's crazy, man. And there was another one that was even worse, but I'm trying to find it. I don't remember. I thought I bookmarked it, but I guess I didn't. Let me see if I can find it. Give me a second. Oh yeah, here we go. I found it. Jana Elser posting, this is truly, and I mean truly, some budding serial killer shit right here. This is some of the most sexually violating behavior I've ever seen. This is what I mean. This is sexually violating, right? All right, let's read this. We can open this up here. I was wearing a Tina pad at work the other day and letting a little dribble leak through the afternoon so that by the time I got off, the pad was fairly wet. And I thought it might be a good time to change it on the way home rather than get my seats wet in the car. When I stopped at the service station, I took note of the cute 20-something girl behind the counter, mostly because of her bright red hair. Remember Jennifer Gartner? Okay, blah, 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 whatever. Anyhow, I went to change, and I usually do. I click the wastebasket. I checked the wastebasket. It had obviously been emptied recently since it was nearly emptied, but there were 2 identical wrappers and applicators in there were Tampax pearls. Those are tampons. And under the circumstances, it seemed unlikely that they came from a different woman. I dug a little deeper, and down into the folds of the plastic bag, there were 2 separate wrapped up tampons that went with the applicators. They were both about half as full, and they had been changed after a couple hours or so. I put them inside my new Tina pad and tucked myself into a position so that the tip of my was right on the 2 butterfly-shaped bloody Tampax. Then I washed up and went into the mini mart and bought a couple of items. I made sure to look her in the eyes. I just knew they had to be her tampons. And as I let my stream go and soak the blood from her gifts into my huge pad, coating my, you know, the with warmth. I messed up the pin on my card intentionally so that I could make more small talk with her a little longer while I enjoyed my secret moment with her intimate cast-offs. When I got home, my pad was filled with glorious pink champagne-colored liquid from end to end. I so hard when thinking about her as I blanked off at the coating and everything. I only wish I remembered to ask her name. I'll have to find out next time I stop in there. Like, this is fucking awful. Like, think about how violating this is. You know what I mean? Like, this is so violating. Anyway, the point of what I'm trying... there's like one more to look at. The point I'm trying to make here is you need... What the fuck am I saying? They're not gonna listen to me anyway. All I'm saying is that if you guys don't fucking control your community, you're cooked. It's just over. Like, it's basically already over, to be honest. There's never mind. Never mind. What I'm trying to say is, like, this shit, it's not possible. You cannot keep living in situations like this where you have absolute creep sexual violators that are able to go into women's spaces. You can't, this can't be a thing. Post by Diana Ellisar. There are trans identifying men who freeze tomato sauce into cylinders to shove up their, is this like their butts? So that when it melts, they can pretend they're having a period. Like, what is this? Like, this is fucking crazy, bro. Like, this is crazy. This is actually a hilarious song to be playing right now. Completely random. All right, I'll read this for you guys. Hello, ladies. Thinking of taking my monthly fem cycle to the next level. I have a regular monthly cycle every 28 days using pads and tampons, and was wondering what others do to mimic flow and discharge. Gross topic for some, I know. Any advice would be great. Frozen V8 popsicles you make with molds from bottled water from Walmart. Hope this helps. I take several correctal women's laxatives at the start of my period. This leads to cramps, and you don't know exactly when they will occur. Sometimes they wake me up in the middle of the night. I have also had accidents on my pad when I did not make it to the toilet fast enough. To simulate bloating, I drink lots of water. Keeps meets heading to the toilet very frequently, where I have the opportunity to change my protection. Use a period tracker on a phone to mark the start of the cycle. It warns one of several days ahead of projected start.
Leaflit?
I have used tomato juice frozen cylindrical cubes as described above. sometimes just squirt some ketchup packs from a fast food restaurant onto a pad for added sensation. After a Halloween look for fake blood on discount. And then just kind of like a thing detailing like how it's made. That's for the tip. Great idea. I use the same type of ice cube tray and frozen tomato juice to create my menstrual flow. What is great about these is I can control my flow rate by the number of cylinders I use. For example, during the beginning of my monthly period, I use 2 to 3 to give a heavy flow. They're so handy for that. I used to try tomato juice, red Gatorades, but I didn't get the results I was hoping for. I'm so elated to find other girls enjoy this very feminine part of our girly lives. Experiencing my period is essential for completing my femininity. You know that there's women that don't have a period? You know that, right, guys? What is this? What are you doing? You know that like women that don't have a period, you know the last thing that women who don't have a period do is try to make it happen by sticking fucking tomato juice up their. Anyway, the point that I'm again to loop back and reiterate the point. What did I say about game design, guys? You have to account for the percentage of people who are not good actors. You have to. Like, to be honest, I'm gonna be real, like this part is a little creepy, but it's not really that, it's whatever. If you want to stick freaking tomato juice up your ass, like I don't really give a shit, to be honest. As long as you're not making it everyone else's problem, I don't really care what you do. The one I have a problem with is that people stealing people's used biological what do you call it, waste, and then repurposing it for themselves and their fetish. That violation, that part is weird. This part I don't really give that much about. I don't really care that much about it. It's a little bit weird, but it's whatever, you know. It's you want to do that on your own, that's up to you. You want to do that in your own home, whatever, have at it. But when it comes to going into public places or into other people's spaces and stealing like their used waste stuff, like so that you could use it for some freakish purpose, this is actually disgusting. And it's sexual harassment. It's sexual violation. All right, let's see what the chat has to say. Papa Caps, thank you for the 100. Leaf, we need a puking emote now. I'm already there. Torgor, thank you for the 100. Should come up with a nickname for these people that will apply to almost all alphabet soup people that they come up with. Yeah, we have a word. It's just freaks. I blame this generation. We shouldn't have had this happen a decade ago. Again, the issue really is people aren't accounting for, you know, that you can't have a case in which people can. Guys, this is so obvious to me. You can't have a case in which people self-identify. You can't have people self-identify as the thing, self-identify as women and let them into women's spaces. You can't do that because obviously a man who is there for nefarious purposes will be like, well, I'm a woman now. Right? Like, there's no way. Yo, chat, at the very minimum, guys, at the very minimum, very, very minimum, the dick's gotta go. You know what I mean, chat? At the very minimum, the dick's gotta go. That I feel like that's being very moderate about it. The dick's gotta go at least. I don't want a person talking about their dick and balls and then like in the women's restroom at the same time. I don't want them telling a story about being in the women's restroom and then putting shit on their dick and balls at the same time. I don't want to hear this, you know? So put 'em in the box.